Welcome to In Search of Reality. This week we are speaking with a scalar energy researcher and scientist who specializes in helping people overcome pathogenic infections with Scalar Light. I'd like to welcome Tom Paladino to the show. And this is a new and emerging science. How you doing,
Hi,
Tom?
Dylan. Hi, Dylan. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to be on the show today. There's some interesting stuff that I think we're going to discuss today. And as I mentioned off air, that it is something that I've actually heard about, but I'm not really that familiar with.
Yes.
So I guess just to give the audience a sense of, kind of your perspective on things and kind of where you come from. What is your background?
That's a good question. I've been researching scalar energy for the past, I would say, close to 45 years. This has been my passion. And just to make this very clear, this is not electricity. We're not working with electromagnetic energy. It's a different type of energy. Some people might call it zero-point energy or Tesla energy. So it's a different energy dimension. It's another dimension of energy that we don't readily understand. Hence, it's a new and emerging science, but it's so interesting.
So with that being said, like, where do you come from? You've researched for 45 years. Is that kind of what got you, I guess, started on this research and kind of motivated you to do this?
I would say at a very young age, I studied the scientist, Nikola Tesla, great man, great inventor. And I realized even in his day, he was working with scalar energy and developed scalar energy instruments, and his results were incredible. They were incredible because he was working with a different dimension, not electricity at the latter stage of his life, but he was working with scalar energy instruments. And I wanted to some way model my career after Tesla. So I've copied a great deal of Tesla's work. And in some fashion, I think I'm continuing on with his work by advancing this new science, scalar energy. And we will get into the benefits of this energy. I think the audience will grasp the fact and embrace the fact that any technology, if it improves our lifestyle, should be welcomed.
That's excellent. So can you maybe kind of break down then? I mean, obviously we're made up of energy, but can you kind of maybe break down, like, what we are made of, as far as like atoms, neutrons, electrons, protons, where does that all fall into the vibration and what we're discussing here?
Yeah, good question. Scalar energy, it's sunlight or starlight. It's the initial energy of the universe. And that energy, scalar energy, acts upon physical matter. So any atomic structure, any molecular structure receives its instructions, receives its actual geometry from scalar energy. So before you build a universe, you have to have instructions, and the instructions are scalar energy. Those are the instructions of the universe. So you put all of that together. This is really what I would consider the fundament. This is the very primal force of the universe. It's the first cause of all of creation. I firmly believe it's from God. So in a nutshell, scalar energy is a divine energy responsible for all atomic and molecular form. It gives order out of chaos.
That's interesting. So it's kind of like the blueprint to how the universe is.
Yes. Exactly. That's why it's so important. You hit the nail on the head. Good for you. It's the blueprint. Before you build a home or a factory, you have blueprints. You have architectural plans. You just don't go out there and swing a hammer. No, this is so important. Scalar energy serves as the instructions or the blueprint for the universe. And if we can control that message, if we can control scalar energy, then we can control the universe. Very good.
That's interesting. Now, how does that tie into consciousness? Does it?
It is. It's identical. Scalar energy is the synonymous term for consciousness, or the grace of God, or the mind of God. So we are in the intelligence wheelwork of the universe, so to speak. It's non-physical. You're right.
That's
it is consciousness. Yeah.
So I've had a few doctors on who, well, I haven't published the show yet, but I've interviewed a doctor that actually talks a lot about being able to heal through meditation in the mind. Is that essentially what they're tapping into, is
Yes.
scalar energy in the quantum
Yes.
field?
Yes, it's the quantum field. It's the non-physical field. It's the information field, and it is responsible for healing as well as everything else.
Huh, fascinating. So how does this light therapy work?
Well, it originates from the sun and the stars. So we are bathed, we are, if you will, immersed in this scalar energy force field. But the distinction that I want to make is I have harnessed the energy so that I can instruct that energy to perform a certain function. And that's the key. Everybody's a scalar energy expert because everybody's been bathing in sunlight and starlight since the moment of their conception. But the key to this is that I have instruments that control that consciousness. I have developed scalar energy instruments that control that energy. And with that, it's a tool then. This instrument is my tool to consciousness, and I can control instructions. So a scalar energy instrument allows me to control the atomic and molecular instructions.
That's fascinating. And then how did you come up with this instrument or equipment? It's just something that you've been able to develop over the years, or is it something that you used that kind of Tesla was working on? Or
the engineering began with Tesla. He was the first person, as I know, that developed scalar energy instruments. He was way ahead of his time. And then there's another man, Galen Hieronymus. I never met him, but I met his wife. And in many ways, I copied the engineering work of Galen Hieronymus. And I'm working with today a brilliant engineer, and we have been able to create scalar energy instruments essentially from the groundwork laid by Tesla and Hieronymus. So our two predecessors, Tesla and Hieronymus, really staged this new and emerging science, and now we're applying it.
that's interesting. And is there a way to, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but is there a way to capture scalar energy, or to not capture, but to an instrument? Can you use an instrument to I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but to help me out here.
Let me say this. Everybody can capture scalar energy, which is the human mind and the human heart. And I've encouraged people, our thinking, human thinking, is scalar wave thinking. Our human heart, our emotions, are scalar wave emotions. So scalar energy, scalar light controls the human mind, controls the human heart. And I've always encouraged people, everybody has the ability to control, to grasp, and to transmit scalar energy, which is your thinking and your emotions.
I guess the word I was looking for was, is there a way to measure scalar energy? Do we have something to measure?
No, I've never developed a gauge. I don't know if I know Hieronymus never developed a gauge or a meter. And that stands as a testimony to just how esoteric this science is. If you have an electrical meter, that's measuring current. Well, keep in mind, that's a stream of electrons or some type of voltage, right? We're not working with electrons. This is non-physical. So it's hard to measure the non-physical. In other words, how would you measure consciousness? That'd be very difficult. I don't know how to do that.
Right. Good point. Good point. So in this process, you actually use photographs to help people. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Let me explain. People will email me photographs, and this is my photograph, and I actually would take my photograph or anybody's photograph and place it inside a scalar energy instrument. Now, the instrument looks at the photograph and identifies that photograph as you, and then it will send energy, it will send healing into the photograph. So I don't work with biological life, I only work with photographs. Why? Because I'm in the informational field. I'm in the quantum field. And the instruments are only designed to work with photographs. They're not designed to work with people. So this is the new science. This is the quantum science, in which the photograph, or the non-physical aura, or the non-physical spirit of a person is accessed. And we access that by way of their photograph. But all action is on the photograph.
And this is something, you had mentioned Tesla. I love this, but this is something that people have been studying and kind of researching way back, right? Can we talk a little bit about maybe some of the other pioneers of this technology? Perhaps like James, was it James Clerk Maxwell?
Yeah.
And then I think there's others too, right?
Maxwell was a brilliant mathematician. Although he was not an engineer, he developed the math that he believed proved scalar energy. I cannot say yes or no to that, but I understand that his equations are monumental, and that if indeed he did mathematize, at least explain scalar energy by some type of mathematical model, that's brilliant. That's not my purview. Other researchers, a man by the name of Thomas Morey out of Utah, a brilliant American engineer, likewise, who developed and could harness scalar energy instruments. Morey was able to use a scalar energy tower, collect energy information from the stars, and he was able to power light bulbs, garment iron, even a fan. And he did all of this in plain view of people. They were just astounded with his results. Using this instrument, a scalar energy instrument, to provide power to household objects, to household appliances.
It's like free energy.
Free energy. Nobody's been able to duplicate his results.
It's interesting. I heard something on the lines of Tesla had something towards free energy too. Was that something similar to what?
Yeah. Tesla had a tower, a very large tower outside of New York City, in Long Island, New York. He called it Wardenclyffe Tower. And that tower was a scalar energy broadcast unit. It was a scalar energy generator. And one of the ways you can tell is because the phenomenon that were to be attributed to the working of that tower, that was not electromagnetic energy, it was scalar energy. And that was one of Tesla's attempt to give the world free energy, but his work was never appreciated, and some people actually worked against him.
What are some of the things that you guys are doing that are helping others? Like what type of clients do you guys get that are like, what kind of issues do they have?
When I'm working with these scalar energy instruments, the intent is to help people. The intent, I'm performance driven. I want to see results. I'm all about results. And with my scalar energy instrument, some of the results that I'm looking for is, can we improve health? Can we improve well-being? But I only can prove that and mention that in the quantum realm, because again, I only work with people by way of their photographs. Well, these instruments have been shown to be able to break apart a microorganism, a germ, a microbe. And I think that offers great promise to mankind if you can break down a microbe, if you can disassemble a microbe. Now, I can prove that from my laboratory when I'm working with their photographs. But again, I only work with photographs. I never work with people. So I have to rely upon people if they tell me if they feel better. Keep in mind, I have a remote laboratory and I'm only working with photographs. But I believe, and time will tell, that we are able to break down, say, a virus or a bacterium, and then subsequently that person no longer is infected with that virus or bacterium. So that is one of the benefits of a scalar light instrument, the ability to eradicate a pathogen.
And so the type of people that come to you, or do they have or have they been diagnosed with like cancer, or do they have, the things like diabetes, or, what type of people?
I per se, when working with this quantum realm, there's really a tough matchup, if you will, between Western science and quantum science. So I try not to use medical terms because it's
Yeah, I get that.
they're both different, because a medical term in the electromagnetic sense is not a medical term in the scalar energy sense. But to answer your question, I don't per se diagnose, and I don't look to pinpoint a specific disease. Rather, I will use the instrument to enhance the life force energy. And that, by way of the photograph, I can identify disease patterns on the photograph. So, keep in mind, this is a new science. It requires a new vocabulary. So what I can do is enhance the quality, the life force energy on a photograph. Do I believe that has a connection to the person? Yes, but I cannot prove that. Nobody can prove that. Scalar energy is invisible. So my work is just focused on a photograph, and indeed the photograph will respond favorably. Eventually, others are going to have to take up my work and see if there is any connection between the photograph and the person. I say there is. That's my theory, but you can't prove that yet.
What are some of the testimonials of, perhaps people feeling better and that kind of thing, kind of changes in things that have been through your program?
Yeah, I'll give you, for instance, when people come to me and they say I have a viral infection, I will actually take a photograph of a virus. This is a photograph of the herpes virus. It's magnified. And I'll place this photograph inside my instrument. It's a photograph of the herpes virus under high magnification. And then I'm able to send that energy into their photograph. Well, after I do that, everybody who's ever had herpes, everybody who's ever had a herpes infection will come back to me and say, I no longer have the herpes virus. Now, obviously, I cannot, the energy is invisible. I cannot prove, I cannot in any way empirically view this process. I cannot observe this process. It's invisible. But what we understand from this new and emerging science is if you can make an impression, influence a photograph, you're probably not only influencing the photograph, you're probably influencing the person. And I can prove from my laboratory that I can eradicate a microbe, say the herpes virus. I cannot prove that with a person. So I rely upon people to give their testimony, right, and to share their experience with me. Now, keep in mind, most of the people I work with, I never meet because I only work with their photographs. So the person, that's the real key. That person must share their testimony with us.
Mm-hmm. And you've had some good ones over the years, I'm assuming.
Yes. Yeah. Thousands of favorable testimonies. And I'll point this out. I'm not afraid to say this. Everybody that I've ever worked with that has had the herpes virus, after I work with their photograph, the herpes virus has been eradicated. And that is a true statement, but I cannot conclude that per se that is going to be able to pass a rigorous scientific test. It isn't, right? Because we just don't understand that science. How could you test something that you don't understand?
Good point. What drives and motivates you to promote this type of technology?
To help people. Any technology helps us. Imagine today, look at our comforts that technology brings us. And if you were to eliminate all of that technology, what would you have? Well, you'd have a very difficult lifestyle. Technology is a tool. It's a gift from God. So I envision scalar energy to be another gift from God, technology to help us to improve our lifestyle. So as we advance and as technology becomes more relevant and frankly more profound in the functions and the work that it can perform, the greater our lifestyle will be enhanced. That's the key to improve the human lifestyle.
How long is the program? Like, kind of what are the steps and the process of the program for people?
I make this very simple. On my website, we have a free trial. Anybody in the world can email us a photograph of their face. We'll work with you for 15 days for free. Again, all we do is work by way of a photograph. This is photographic enhancement by way of scalar light. And during those 15 days of free trial, we will eradicate pathogens, we'll balance your chakras, and we will provide nutrients. We can actually create nutrients with this energy. Okay, all of this is done on the action and the influence on your photograph. That's the key. Now, when you put all of that into motion, well, those 3 sessions, germ cleanse, chakra balance, nutrient program, are performed every day. And we work with you 24 hours a day. So after 15 days, you've had a lot of scalar energy. And invariably, the result is people feel better. The greater majority of people feel better. And that's the key. Does it work? Yes. Do people feel better? Yes. Is this a benefit? Yes. And that's what drives me.
That's exciting stuff. Is there other people that are working on this type of technology out there, or?
Very few. Very sadly, not that I know of. I haven't seen it in the public venue. I would wish a greater number of people would take this up. But let me make this very clear. It is difficult. It is esoteric. And to be quite frank, there's no money in it. You know, who wants to spend years researching something where there's no remuneration? You can't pay your bills doing this, Dylan. So you have to be very realistic. Unless you're really a humanitarian at heart, you're probably not going to take this up. It's going to consume too much time and effort.
Well, that may have just answered my next question. Why do you believe that this technology is kind of not talked about, or isn't more mainstream, I guess, and it's kind of far less known for the public?
Yeah, if this is true and accurate, what I'm saying, and that scalar energy will allow us to control the physical universe, you would say, well, that would have great benefit, and it does. And my statement is true, and I hold to that statement. So what's holding it back? Well, there is a suppression. There is a very tangible suppression, and that suppression is really motivated by money and power. There are some people with money and power that are threatened by this technology. In other words, this technology might make obsolete the existing technology that's being used today. So this will change the business landscape. This will change the investment landscape. This will change the medical landscape. And because of that, it's intimidating to people. It's new technology that will make obsolete existing technology. And with that in mind, that's a threat.
Yeah, that makes sense. What is the future hold for scalar energy, do you believe?
I think it's the doorway to greater prosperity. I think it will liberate mankind. That many of the tasks, many of the work functions we would wish to be able to achieve, we cannot achieve today with electromagnetic energy. Scalar energy will allow us to achieve what we've never been able to achieve with electricity. So in that sense, scalar energy is going to liberate the world.
See, that's the type of stuff that I think, if it does work, kind of raises the entire vibration of the planet. If we're all on the same page and using that type of technology,
Yes.
and I think it's something that would kind of advance humans, right? But
Yes, yeah.
I just worry that the powers that be, I don't know, they don't want that kind of stuff.
No, they don't. No, they don't. We'll just cut the mustard right here and now. There are some people out there that do not like what I'm doing, and there's some people out there who do not want me to succeed. Yeah.
What are some of your future goals and plans, and maybe even kind of how you're going to guide this this technology or this business?
I see that in the future, if God gives me the wisdom, we'll be able to create anti-gravity instruments. Scalar energy controls gravity. So if you can overcome gravity, that will be the preferred method of transportation. Okay, so anti-gravity is one of my goals, objectives. The ability to create free energy devices to be able to broadcast scalar energy anywhere in the world, a wireless transmission of free energy to illuminate the world. That's another goal that I have in mind. So we put all of this together. I've just started, so to speak, with God's help and God's blessing. I am looking forward to a future of anti-gravity and free energy for the world.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that's
That's the future. That, to me, that this is really what motivates me. I'll go on record. I believe what I've developed is the easy way, the safe way to break apart a microbe. Why is that so important? Well, if you're infected with a virus or fungus or a parasite, would you not want to be able to quickly and easily, without any adverse consequence, would you not want to be able to break down, to shatter that microbe? Of course, I do that, and I do that readily. That's an established practice. But now I want to move on, and the future beckons, and I'll hold to this. The day is coming that somebody will develop a scalar energy anti-gravity instruments and scalar energy free energy devices.
Do you believe this is kind of, well, I think you said this earlier, this is what the stars are made of?
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah. Well, yeah, I always say, why is it that the stars, the trillions upon trillions of galaxies, why don't the stars burn out? Why is there no entropy? Well, they don't burn out because they're powered by scalar energy, which is an internal energy. There is no entropy with scalar energy. So the only way you could have a universe filled with stars that are perpetual is by way of a perpetual energy. So scalar energy, scalar light, is the perpetual energy of God that powers the stars. There is no electromagnetic energy that powers the stars. That's impossible.
That's fascinating. That is fascinating, truly fascinating. Do you believe, you mentioned chakra, and how does that kind of align with scalar energy, and your thoughts on that?
We look at a chakra. I believe a chakra is composed of light, scalar light. So we have 7 chakras, and those are 7 points of light. And my instrument, as a scalar energy instrument, will immediately interface, will immediately make a connection with those 7 chakras and reprogram them. So yes, we all have 7 chakras. I believe the easiest way to reprogram and balance 7 chakras are with scalar energy. Frankly, I believe an electromagnetic instrument will deprogram, will interfere, will cause imbalance to the 7 chakras. So if you want to balance the chakras, you have to do it with scalar energy. And that's the tool that I have, the chakra balancing by way of a scalar energy device.
That's interesting. And that's something that I think a lot of people try to do, right? Is balance their chakras,
Yes.
or to clear their energies if they feel they're stuck.
Yeah.
Or
it's very real. Sure.
Yeah, I believe so too. Cause I mean, when you break it down, right, we're not really made up of anything but energy, are we?
Right. That's right. That's right.
Yep.
This is why this is so important. We're at the fundament of the universe. This is the very platform of the universe, which is energy. And therefrom, we have creation. If you shut off all the scalar energy, the universe would fall apart. There would be nothing but chaos in an instant. So it's scalar energy serving as that informational footing, that informational platform that gives order to everything. Without scalar energy, you have a chaotic universe.
Was there something that Einstein was working on, or was there any of his research that kind of pointed to scalar energy?
I think later in his life, I think Einstein knew of Tesla's work, and I think Einstein started to realize that Tesla had discovered and was working with scalar energy instruments. If you look at most of Einstein's work, initially he never considered ether. Tesla considered ether, which is perhaps the building block or the medium of the universe. Tesla was working with scalar energy instruments. I think Einstein was slow to acknowledge scalar energy. And, very, very simply stated, there's 2 energies: electromagnetic energy and scalar energy. Well, if Einstein was responsible for theorizing about electromagnetic energy, so be it. But it was really Tesla who's the founding father of scalar energy, and I prefer scalar energy any day over electricity. So for the sake of this conversation, there's two energies. And my druthers is just to work with scalar energy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, what are hmm, what do you believe then the universe is made up of? I mean, I know you say scalar energy, but like,
I think it's very simple because God is simple. The initial energy of the universe is scalar energy. And electricity and magnetism are a subset or a derivative of scalar energy. Now they're massless, they're non-physical. Scalar energy is non-physical. Now, if you ask yourself, well, where does all the mass come from? It has to be what Tesla would call the ether. And I can consider that to be the fundamental building block or the smallest particle in the universe. So you have scalar energy acting upon ether, which is the smallest particle. That's all you need. That's all you need. And scalar energy will impart its instructions upon the ether as the building block. And with this building block of ether, you can make anything. You can make elements. You can make compounds. You can make DNA. So, as far as I'm concerned, and from what I've read from Tesla and my mysticism, and God, what God has given me, you have scalar energy as the animating force, the animating instructions, and you have ether as the smallest physical particle.
do you believe us as humans, then we can tap into
Yes.
and we can even kind of create our own realities?
Yes, we do that all day long by your thoughts, by prayer. I try and pray every day because it does set instructions, and those instructions are prayer instructions, and those instructions work. You have to believe in it. If I were not to embrace prayer, but consider myself a scalar energy researcher, that's a contradiction. Prayer is scalar energy. Human thought is scalar energy. My instrument, my engineered instrument, is working with scalar energy. All of that goes hand in hand. So to answer your question, human thought, human emotion, prayer, any type of creativity, all of that is really a scalar emanation. That's a broadcast of scalar energy. That's how important scalar energy is. You cannot think without a scalar wave. Your brain waves are scalar waves. The human heart, the circadian rhythm is regulated by scalar energy.
You mentioned emotion. Why is that so important to put into maybe prayer or meditation? Is it because it's a form of energy, or
It is a form of energy. And as you conceive, as you have a goal in mind, you'll follow that goal. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have those instructions, it's an aimless pursuit. And what are you doing? Okay, you have to have a goal, you have to have a purpose. Without a purpose, nothing's going to be achieved. So to pray, to meditate, to have goals, to be creative, to have objectives, that really gives you a purpose in life. Otherwise, to me, it's just wasted time, wasted energy.
yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's pretty cool. So how long has your program been around? I know you've been doing this for 45 years, but
The website's been public now for close to 10 years, and the word is getting out because of people, Dylan, because of good people like you who are open-minded, who want to change the world. So we are a grassroots movement. Okay, there's plain and simple. We're a mom and pop organization. And I want to keep it that way because then it's clean. We don't have to worry about outside influence. Okay, it's a clean organization.
yeah,
Thank God corrupt government is not involved in this organization.
right, right. That's fascinating stuff. And then with that being said, then, maybe where can people get a hold of the work that you're doing and maybe sign up for some treatments or that kind of thing?
Sure. The website is scalarlight.com. I'm going to encourage people, go to the website, sign up for the 15-day free trial. All you have to do is upload, email us your photograph. We do the rest. And there's no obligation. So include your pets, include your family, and you will see the difference. Scalarlight.com. Email us your photographs. We do the rest.
And you said it's a 15-day free trial. How typically, how long do people stay in the program? Or is it, I mean, is it something that's kind of good to stay in for a long extended period of time, that kind of thing?
Some people like the energy so much that they want to stay in for, we have a year-long program for some people, but that's the exception. So we want people to at least put their toe in the water, so to speak. We want them to experience it without any type of coercion. So the 15-day trial, that's the easiest way to introduce it to people.
I love it. That was Tom Paladino. Thanks for coming on the show, bud.
Thank you.